Good morning, family, friends, and guests of Asbury United Methodist Church, 926 11th Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., 2001. This morning we are about to stream a program.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Asbury. I'm Reverend Iantha Mills. I'm the senior pastor here, and we welcome you to part two of the active shooter response training that is being offered by Serve DC through the mayor's office and so forth. And we want to especially welcome anyone who's here from other churches. I know we have a few, and we would like to get your information so that we can stay in contact as other things are offered. So, you're from? Okay, I did hear from your executive director. Yeah, yes. New Bethany Baptist? All of you new. Okay, welcome. And Janarda's brother? Okay. Anybody else that's not from, no, looks like everybody else is from Asbury. Um, Willie, you're the organizer. All right, so we'll turn things over.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Willie McElroy. I'm from Serve DC. Serve DC is the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism. Along with, I'll tell you a little bit about that. Along with the managing of volunteer opportunities we do for individuals, churches, groups, whatever, we do emergency preparedness training for anyone in the district who puts in a request. Everything from free CPR, AED, and first aid, through terrorism, disaster psychology, this morning, active shooter response, part two, anything. So if you're affiliated with any other groups, specifically beyond the church, you can go on our website at serve.dc.gov, look on the list of trainings that we offer, and you can make a request. We'll come out if you have 10, at least 10 people who will train at your site. If you have less, then you have to come to our office training. But at any rate, the training is free. So how many of you attended part one of the training? So this is the attendance side. This is the new side, apparently. The reason I ask that is because if you can relate back to some of the information in part one, makes it a little clearer. But what I'm going to do is kind of review a little bit, recap, that way we can all move forward. All right, so what you see here, this is part of the review part, is that we don't do our training in seclusion. You have an active shooter situation, you're going to see a lot of things going on, and a lot of people are going to be needing help. So we include what is called our just hit the ground, just very basic medical skills training that anybody can do. You don't have to be certified in, right? You just have to be willing to do it. Most times in disasters, people are going to step up. They are. You know, we see it in hurricanes and earthquakes and even active shooter. But you can only step up and be effective based on the amount of training that you have, okay? So we say that if you receive just this minimal training, you can help sustain people until EMS gets on the scene, because they're not coming until the scene is safe, right? In the presentation, I mentioned that national response time for emergency medical services on any disaster scene is 8 to 12 minutes. But for an active shooter situation, they're not coming in until it's safe. That could be 8 to 12, that could be 2 hours. They're not coming until it's safe. So the more of you who may be survivors on the scene who have some type of skills, you can help sustain those folk until EMS gets on the scene. All right, So what we include is what is called hands-on CPR and bleeding control basics. Can everybody see what I'm doing up here? All right, so how many people in the audience train in CPR? You guys not trained in CPR? Okay, all right. Okay. So how many of you who put your hands up, your CPR certifications are current? Okay, that's a fewer number. Now remember, we offer these trainings free, right? Get your certification through the Red Cross. All right, so, but when you start doing your CPR here, your chest compressions, you don't have any rescue breaths because in your certified CPR, you've been certified in full CPR, meaning you're going to do how many chest compressions? How many? All right, you're going to do 30 chest compressions, 2 rescue breaths. But when you start doing this is hands only. No rescue breath. Once you start pushing, you just push until you get tired, basically. All right? So, all right, say you walk out of church. See a person unresponsive on the pavement. Right? You look around, nobody's there except you. What's the first thing that you would do? Call 911? Speak to them? All right, so, well, good, but there's a little bit more that comes before it, right? So, you don't know why they're laying down. You don't know if it's danger present, if it's unsafe. You're going to take about 5-10 seconds, no more than 10, look around and make sure that it's safe for you to even step out there. Because you don't want to get taken down by the same thing that took him down. You got 2 unresponsive people, all right? The reason that you didn't want to call 911 first is that he may be taking a nap. You don't want to call them to come over here and wake him up. All right, you wasted services, all right? So once, people do that, right? Okay, so once it's safe, 5 to 10 seconds, no more than 10, you're going to go out there. And then you're going to say to him very sternly, sir, are you okay? Ma'am, are you okay? The reason that you do that, because again, he could be sleeping, right? If he remains unresponsive, then you're going to tap firmly on the chest and say, sir, are you okay? Ma'am, are you okay? If he can withstand that, then there's something wrong, right? So if he remains unresponsive, see somebody passing, you can say, man with the gold sweater, please call 911. Young man with the white shirt on, bring an AED. Do we know what an AED is? What is an AED? All right, okay, all right. Automatic external defibrillator. Okay, that's a thing that we can hook up, shock the person, and get the heart rhythm back going. So, but you're there by yourself, so you can't tell anybody. So you're going to take your phone out. Take your phone out, call 911, put it on speaker, put it right by the person's head. Now you're ready to do your chest compressions. Here's where we have the problem, because sometimes, even in doing chest compressions, even certified people do it incorrectly. And if it's not done correctly, it's not going to help sustain this person, because you got to get this, you got to take the place of the heart, basically, and you got to help push that blood throughout the extremities, especially to the brain, so the person won't have any brain. So this is the way it's done. Take your strong hand, left or right, doesn't make a difference. Heel of your palm is going to go in the center of the person's chest, right here in the sternum area. Not below, not above, right there. Lock your elbows out. Take your other hand, try to lace your fingers. If you can't lace, don't worry about it. Doesn't make a difference. But if you can, it helps to direct, to push better. Lock that elbow down. Now you're going to push from your waist. Full body push, just like this. Now the pace, you're trying to push at least 100 to 120 beats per minute, right? Your pace is very important. Some people will say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. When you get to the teens, it's okay, 11, 13, 14, 15. That's right on pace. Some people sing, staying alive, staying alive. Whatever's good for you, all right? Well, that keeps you on pace. right? So now you notice it was a pretty physical movement, right? Pretty deep. For an adult, you have to push at least 2 inches deep, right? So you're going to be hearing strange sounds. You're going to be cracking and stuff like that, because if you're pushing really deep correctly, you're going to break some ribs. That's the way it happens, right? Some people get the ribs broken. But as a toss-up between getting my ribs broken and dying, you can break as many ribs as you want. Okay? All right. If you're doing it correctly, that might happen. So don't worry about that. Okay, so now I'm doing my compression. Now remember I said EMS, the national response time is 8 to 12 minutes. Pretty physical movement. Pretty tough to do that for 12 minutes, even if you're in shape. Really. Okay? So there are some conditions. Now, the scene that was once safe when you started, now it's unsafe. There's a shooting, there's a fire, there's a crash, there's something going on behind you or around you. Move yourself to safety. If you can safely extricate this person with you, move him over there, continue your CPR. If you can't, leave him there. Call 911 back and say, hey, look, the scene became unsafe. I had to leave the victim there. You need to go there and get it. Okay? You can stop. If he begins to blink, sneeze, move, whatever, say, hey, you hurt my chest, you can stop. Okay? Someone passes you and say, look, hey, I'm trained. I can help you. You all can trade off. You can stop. Okay? You already asked for an AED. AED gets there. You're going to keep pushing till the person attaches the pads, turns the monitor on. It's going to say, everyone stand clear. That's when you stop. You don't stop when when you see him coming with the AED, you just stop. No. Wait for the pads to be attached, and the system tells you to stand clear. That's when you stop. You call 911. You can hear the siren in the distance. Don't stop when you hear the siren. Wait for them to come all the way over to you. Get out, come over there and say, hey, look, we got it. Then you can stop. And the last condition is this. You've been pushing 8 minutes, 9 minutes. Boy, sweat is popping down. 10 minutes, you can barely breathe. 11, remember they got 12 minutes. 11 minutes, 12, they're still not there. You can stop. Only for about 10, 15 seconds. Set back together, and you go back. Never leave the victim until EMS gets on the scene. That's hands-only CPR. Now, you don't have to be certified in it. Just an awareness. We trained over 17,000 people last year. We've done way over that now, and it's just an awareness. Okay? Any questions about that? No. Your question should be, hey, is this better than, why do I need to be certified in CPR? You know, if I could just take it. Well, there's a reason. Because this form of CPR, though it is good, does not replace doing your rescue breaths and all that for every group, right? There's some groups here, little children, infants, people with respiratory problems, seniors. They need the full CPR. But if you can start this, you know, far along early enough, when the person goes down, they can survive without, let's say, minimal. You have a question. Right, the system is going to tell you to stand clear. As soon as they run out, they're going to turn it on. And you're going to hear the system saying, connect pads. And you're going to put pads on because the system is trying to read the vital signs of the victim. And then when it's ready, it's going to say, everyone stand clear, then you just back off. Right? Well, you're going to, a small child, depends on if he is like a toddler or something like that, where your push mechanism is going to be different. Right? You're going to use one hand. As an infant, you can use 2 fingers, but you'll learn that in your CPR training. But yeah, you can use the same technique to keep you on on ribbon. Use the same one. Somebody had a hand over here. Yes. No. No. I said right here, this is your sternum area right here. You're going to be right in there. Not under, not above. Right in there. Yeah. Fair question? She wanted to know the correct placement. Was it on the sternum or below or above? Right on it. Yes. AED. He asked what did the initials AED stand for? Automated external defibrillator. Okay? Yes, sir. Okay, so that's a good question. Once you've done your check for responsiveness, right? Used to be a time when Red Cross would say, okay, well, what we're going to do now, we're going to check to see if he's breathing. What we're going to do is a forehead tilt, chin lift. So you take your 2 fingers here, put them here, open up his airway like that, put your cheek down, so you're trying to feel whether he's breathing on your cheek. You're looking down the chest line to see if his chest is moving up and down. That takes too much time. So when you're doing your check for responsiveness, you're going to, just look. Just take a quick scan, five seconds. You don't see any signs of breathing, or if he can sustain all of that and still not moving, he's going to need some CPR, right? But you're going to look quick. You don't see his chest moving, or you don't hear him coughing or anything, you need to go right into it. Which means this. He's either in complete cardiac arrest, or his pulse is so shallow, it's not strong enough to sustain, him pushing the oxygenated blood throughout his body.
Oh, thank you. So you talk about the what's the machine called? The
AED.
ADT, right? So where do we where can we get one from, or because I know most of the time, just everybody don't have one. You know what I mean? It's just don't.
What we tell folks is that when we go out and do our training, that every organization, agency, group, you have a building, you should have an AED in it. You can go on the Red Cross site, redcross.com, and you can look to see what they. But if you go on the internet, you go to Amazon and just check AEDs, and you're going to see just this plethora of them. Deal is that many of them are very expensive, so you're going to have to really do some research to find one that can accommodate your needs and fits with you. But they also sell the reconditioned ones too, which they are half the price of the new. But some people will say, well, no, I want to put my hands in some reconditioned thing that might want stuff. But I'm saying the prices, some of them, the price is extreme. Any other questions? Okay, so let's go into the next part. You're going to see people who need some assistance because they are bleeding, they're injured. This information is a part of our Stop the Bleed program. And we do an individual training of Stop the Bleed. This is something we started about a year and a half ago. This is a program that being really pushed by the current administration, and people are now, when they buy AEDs, the AED is mounted in a certain area. They also now have bleeding control kits mounted up there as well. Okay? All right, this program was created by what is called the Hartford Consensus. Hartford Consensus is a combination of the American College of Surgeons, Committee on Tactical Casualty Combat Care, and National Association of EMTs. What they did was come together, and they put together these basic medical skills training that anybody can do if you're willing. If you're willing. Thought behind this was this. 2013 was the Navy Yard shooting Okay? I think it was 13 people, 12 or 13. 12. When they uh, uh, when they dispatch the tactical team to secure the scene, the individual was moving around, he was up and down. It, was not an immediate process. It took them a minute to control him, to locate him, and take him down. Right. So now you can imagine people walking on the scene. They're coming on the scene. The tactical team. They're not there to give medical treatment. They're there to make the scene safe. So you can imagine them walking through the scene, seeing people who may be injured, but can't give them any treatment. They're moving to make the scene safe. Took them 2 hours. Locate him, take him down, make sure the scene was safe for EMS to come in. If you got a person who is experiencing some extreme trauma, bleeding, they're not going to last 2 hours. If it's a wound of an artery, you can bleed out in minutes. It's not going to last 2 hours. So what, I'm getting ahead of myself now, but I'll just say. So what was developed then was what is called unified tactical team, where they have, you have in a team who's deployed to a facility, people with rifles up front. In the middle, you're going to have tactically trained EMTs who have trained, who have some type of combat training so they can, if they encounter a person who is bleeding out, they can give them immediate treatment as they move throughout the facility. Only thing about that is not a national standard, so they don't do it in every state. I wish that it was. Okay? So that's what happened. So that's why we created this. They created this program here so that if there are survivors on the scene who have this training, you can sustain them until EMS gets on the scene. All right, so we're not going to do the whole training because this takes a long time. It takes 90 minutes. I'm just going to give you what is called the ABCs of bleeding control. All right, ABCs. A part, let's say a shooter comes in this room. Comes in, he shoots people. He leaves. We don't know if he went back outside, went to another part of the building. We don't know where he is. All we know is that he's gone from our area. I do a quick check of myself. I'm okay, but I can look around and see that there are a lot of people injured. So I'm going to take my phone out. I'm going to call 911. But this time when I call them, I'm going to describe what I see. Shooter here, I'm getting an address to the building, the room that I'm in. Give a quick scan. Hey, there are a lot of people who are down, who need help. If I can remember some characteristics of the shooter, he's wearing this, he's this, because they may not have received any information yet. The more they know when they come on the scene, the quicker they can make the scene safe. So my 911 call this time is going to be specific. I'm going to give just all the information I can give them so they can have an idea of who they're looking for when they come on the scene. So the last thing that I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm trained, I'm going to try to help. Okay, so now, once I've alerted them, I'm at B, looking around, looking at people who are bleeding. So I'm going to go to, if I'm familiar with this building, I'm going to go to the nearest first aid kit. Where's the nearest first aid kit to this room? Box in the back room. Okay, all right. So if you're a member to this building, you should know where the first aid kit is. That's part of the education. Know where the AED is, know where the first aid kit is. All right, so once you get your first aid kit, you're going to put on these. These are rubber gloves. Protect you and the victim, right? So once I get my rubber gloves on, I'm going to look around to see who I can help. Now, somebody asked me before in another training, who do I help first? If I see a lot of people that's needing help, who do I help first? Do I help the people who are unresponsive? Do I help the people who are responsive? Doesn't make a difference. What you're looking for is the most severe bleeding. The most severe bleeding. So if I'm helping someone, say I see a person who's lying in just this huge pool of blood, I can, I know that, Hey, that's pretty bad. But I just can't see where the blood is coming from. I don't know where the blood is emanating from, but I can see this puddle, right? So what I'm going to do, I got to find the injury. I might have to tear away his shirt, blouse, sweater, jacket, whatever, to get to where the blood is emanating from, all right? Once I can locate it, it's a gunshot wound. Once I can locate it, I'm going to take gauze, if I have gauze in my first aid kit. Now, your first aid kit may not have this type of gauze. This is quick clot combat gauze, right? This gauze has a clotting agent woven into the material so that once it's applied, it can help start the clotting procedure with the injury. So I'm going to get here. I'm going to take this gauze, right? I'm going to wrap the injury like that if I can see it. I'm going to take the rest up, put 2 hands on. Now I'm down to C. Pressure. Put pressure. This is what's going to stop the bleeding. Now, I'm putting as much pressure as I can on it now, but I can see the blood is still coming. It's still flowing. So I'm going to take it back and look, and I might need to, if I see that it's a real severe wound, it's deep, I'm going to have to take that gauze now and go inside like that. This is called packing it. Got to pack it. Get it as sufficiently packed as I can, rewrap it, then I'm back to my pressure. Now, this should stop it, but it might not. If I still see the blood flowing, look at my first aid kit, I might have something like this. This is a tourniquet. They don't come in regular first aid kits. It's something you might have to add. Very reasonable. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Amazon. You can get them anywhere pretty cheap. So for your first aid kit, you want to at least have 2 in there, right? So when I go back, very easy to use, 3 steps. I'm going to apply the tourniquet. I want to be above the wound, at least 2 inches. Between the wound and the person's heart, okay? This is my windlass. This is the ratcheting mechanism that I'm going to turn to get it tight enough to stop the bleeding. Once I get it tight enough, lock it in place, put my flap down, I'm going to write on there 940, right on it, so EMS will know how long the tourniquet has been applied. Now, if the person is responsive, they're going to be complaining because tourniquet's hurt. They're going to be screaming, telling you stop. They're simply going to have to say, hey, look, I'm sorry, but I got to stop this blood from flowing. Ratchet it down, lock it in place. Now, after I got my tourniquet on, I got my wound packed, pressure, this should stop it. Now, suppose it doesn't stop. If there's enough space between the tourniquet where I applied it and my hip joint, I can put another tourniquet. You can use 2 tourniquets, right? You use 2 tourniquets, packing, all that stuff, it should work, should stop it. But suppose you don't have a tourniquet. Suppose you don't have a first aid kit. Suppose you don't have rubber gloves. Take your shirt, undershirt, blouse, whatever you can, got, tear, get you some strips. You want to come back. You're going to pack it the same way that you did with the gauze, but this time you're using your own fabric. Pack it, wrap it if you can, 2 hands, pressure. Okay? Suppose you don't even have anything to tear, and it's a wound of the artery. You'll know because the blood is spurting out at, a severed artery, bleeding from a severed artery looks different than a regular wound. Regular wound, the blood is just going to be oozing, flowing. Artery tear is going to be spurting like that. And if it's coming out quick like that, the victim only has minutes. So you're going to take your finger. You don't have anything else that you can use. You don't have a first aid kit. You don't have anything. You're going to go inside the wound like this. You're going to have to move until you can find that severed point. You're going to put pressure on it. You got to hold it in place. Hold it in place. You can't put it in, stop it, and take it out. You got to hold it in place until EMS gets there. Right? Now, you're going to do that if it's a gunshot wound, it's just a shrapnel wound from a bomb, if it's a stab wound that's deep and severed the artery. You got to go inside to stop the bleeding. Okay? Now, so now your question is, hey, man, you know, it's a lot of dangerous pathogens in blood. I don't want to be infected, or I don't want to, you know. So I say this to people. Yes, there's a chance that, you know, something can be passed on. But you have to ask yourself, if you're in a situation that's high threat, right? You got people down, everything, and if you have the training that you could sustain someone's life, would you lend a hand? Remember I said before, these are skills that people can do if they're willing. If they're willing. Nothing that, you know, it's no edict that says you have to do it or, you know, you're obligated. But if you have the skills, the knowledge, most folk are going to. Most people will. People say, man, there's no way I'm putting my finger in somebody's wound. But I'm telling you, when it happens, most people will step in. All right, let's recap. A, you're going to alert 911. You know your call is going to be different this time. Characteristics of the shooter, if you saw it, what you see, location, room, everything. You're trained. You're going to try to help. B, once you get your first aid kit, if you got one, you got to locate where the blood is emanating from. You know, you might not see it. Person that could be lying in a pool of blood. You got to find it. C, pressure. Pressure, whether it's tourniquet pressure, where it's your pressure, where it's finger pressure, that make a difference. The pressure is going to help to control the blood flow. Any questions? You okay? All right, okay, all right. Let's go on. All right. So, for the people who are, this is your first time. We went over this last time. I'm recapping it. I hope people who saw it the first time, you know, it wasn't boring for you. Okay, all right. So this is the video that will be accompanying. Well, it is accompanying the Stop the Bleed program. When you see this, you'll say, "Wow, I remember when I saw that. I saw that over at Asbury." Yeah.
You've probably seen these boxes on our set. They're bleeding control kits.
Part of a new White House initiative. Soon, you'll be seeing them on the walls of public spaces. Airports, shopping malls, your place of business. Open the box and you will find what you need to stave off a bleeding wound.
And give the victim time for help to arrive.
These are items that you should also have in your home, car,
The kit comes with gauze, scissors, and a tourniquet.
as well as gloves to protect you and the patient.
Often holding pressure firmly against a wound or wrapping it tightly will stop the bleeding.
But in more severe cases, a tourniquet may be required.
It should be slipped on the limb and fastened above the bleeding wound. Then use a plastic rod to tighten it until the bleeding stops. Once applied, the patient should be taken to the hospital and the tourniquet removed by medical personnel only.
Make sure you call 911 first. For more information and instructional videos, please visit these websites.
You can save a life by learning.
Okay. All right, so any questions up to this point? So here's when I tell people that some of the images, well, this presentation is a combination of, you're going to see some slides, you're going to see some videos, we're going to do some simulations. Now, that's what's different this time. You're going to be up being active this time, okay? You're going to see some of the information is going to be specifically directed at people who might be greeters or, you know, the auxiliary. Because it's important that we have some type of script or have some information in mind when we have to confront people who might be potentially dangerous to the membership. So we have to, we're going to go through, act out some of those roles. But the information, some of it is going to be very powerful, right? And it might be disturbing to some of you. I always say that if you feel a little uncomfortable, please don't hesitate to walk out, and then I can talk with Willie about getting some information to you. But those who stay, you will be different than you were when you came. I guarantee you. Okay. All right. So recapping some of the information that we talked about. Generally, when I do trainings for churches, sometimes people will say, well, are you asking us to change the concept of who we are? And I said, no, right? Concept of the church, the doors of the church is open. Anybody can come in, regardless of what faith you are, nationality, you're welcome to come in and worship. You are, right? That's where it is. We're saying, no, we're not saying that you have to change. But you have to have some type of safety protocol in place to ensure the safety of the people who are. It's just simple as that. Sure, be as accommodating, warm, opening as you always were, but if you have a safety protocol, make sure that it's consistent, doesn't vary for anybody. Look around your building. Look at all of the access points in your building. Most churches you can enter from pretty much anywhere. Street, alley, side, front, back, right? Do you need that many entries? Do you really? Now, that's not anything probably based on the ideas of who's currently there. I mean, that's the way the buildings were constructed. Some churches, I know one church, I did a training, I went back the following Sunday to see if they had done some modifications. They really did. I mean, they had security posted different places. They had chained some of the doors. I said, well, I don't think you want to do it. Right? That's kind of a fire hazard kind of thing. But you have to do something, right? If you have a surveillance camera over the area, most people will have that. At least have a camera over an unmanned area. That's good. But do you have anybody monitoring the camera? Because if there's nobody monitoring the camera, that's no good. You got a camera, it looks good. Oh, I got a camera over this door. But nobody looking at it. Most times, people who commit these types of crimes walk right in through the front door. They just come right in. Right? Now, sometimes there is, what do they call it? Reconnaissance, right? So they'll go out ahead of time. Say one of your back doors. It's unmanned, unwatched. I'm going to put a little something there to make sure I can get back in. Right? Nobody's going to see me because nobody's watching this camera. Right? So part of your emergency action routine is going to be checking all of the doors. Whoever is responsible for doing that, you're going to go to every door, check, make sure that it's locking like it should be, nothing obstructing that. That's part of your routine, whoever opens up the building, right? Anyway, we'll talk about that. So, but, yeah, you can be accommodating, but you got to understand that there are some pretty evil people out there. Sometimes these things don't happen because the person is evil, but they happen because maybe they've had some issue or some concern and just don't know how to rationally deal with it. So they come to churches, they come to schools, they come to our jobs, and they commit these crimes. So, I mean, we can't do anything about that, but we can put mechanisms in place to protect us. All right. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're doing now. We are reviewing some of the things that we talked about in one. We talk about prevention strategies for our security teams, blah, 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 and talk again. We talked a lot last time about the emergency action plan. I'm going to reiterate that because this is critical, because this is This is your blueprint for safety. Now, what's contained in the emergency action? Like a fire drill, right? We're going to know how to get out, you know. Yeah, but sometimes on an active threat, active shooter, you won't have a chance to get out. So we got to know where the safe places are in the building. Where can we go? And how are we going to get there? I'm going to show you some examples of what some churches are doing. Some churches, they just do a mass exit. People just get up, just start running everywhere, right? But that may not be for you. You may have people in wheelchairs. You might have some people with canes who need some assistance. So part of your plan is going to be to identify individuals to help those people out. Children, who's helping them out? You got to identify people to help those people out. If you're going to have any type of takedown plan, sometimes people confront the shooter, right? They do. There was an incident in Nashville about 7 months ago, Waffle House. Remember that? Shooter came in, killed 4 people. As soon as he walked through the door, killed them. Going into another section, the young man standing there by the door, shooter had the barrel down as he was entering. The guy grabbed that barrel, and he wrestled with that guy till he took the gun away from him. He was wounded, but he took the gun away. Now, had he not taken that gun away, more people would have been killed. He took it. So they interviewed him. They said, well, you're military. I said, no, I'm not military. Are you a police officer? No, not a police officer. You had any kind of special training? He said, no. I said, well, why would you confront somebody who could kill you? You had seen him kill 4 people. He said, well, the guy was going to have to work to kill me. That's exactly what he said. He's got to work to kill me. When I heard that, I said, you know, that is astounding. Most people in active shooting incidents running the other way. They're trying to get as much distance between them and the shooter as they can, right? This guy, no special training. So that's the type of mentality that you have to have in situations like that, a survival mentality, right? But this is a high-threat situation. People are scared. You got bullets flying. People, I mean, your senses are up here in overload. So most folk, unless someone is there to help them or urge them on, they're going to freeze in place and become targets, right? So that's why the plan is critical. Members have to know the plan. You got to practice the plan so everybody will know what to do in case something like this. Okay? All right, so these are the people who we urge to participate. Now, like I said, this training is in 2 parts. The first part, we say, hey, anybody can come to any of them, basically, because we're going to recap to make sure you're on the same page anyway. But there are things that we covered in part 1 we just don't have time to do in part 2. Part 1 is critical. It's massive. But these are the people that we want to attend these trainings. Okay? Why? Because you're going to be the people who interact with these folks. Right? Shooter comes through that front door. If I'm a greeter passing out programs, I want to have the training to look to see if there's any suspicious activity, appearance, dress, whatever. So I can relay that information to whoever else is on the security, right? I'm not going to just say, okay, come on in. Because once he's inside, that's it. And then Annapolis shooting, the newspaper in Annapolis, Maryland. Police were there in 60 seconds. That's incredible. Still 5 people were killed. 5 people were killed. National response time for police on an active shooter scene is 3 to 6 minutes. They were there in 60 seconds. 5 people were still killed. A person with a semi-automatic weapon can do a lot of damage in a short period of time. So once they get inside, even if they are secured almost immediately, still people are going. So we want to try to maintain them outside the best we can. The only way we can do that is to establish some type of protocol that detains them at a point. I'm not talking about, throwing them handcuffed. No, just talking, just being friendly, just like you would normally do, right? But we've had eyes, you're going to have eyes on him to say, whoa, this is a suspicious guy. Let's try to maintain him at the entrance just momentarily till we can get some more of our team members. So part of this is awareness, right? So prevention strategies, right? We're going to look at how to determine, to observe suspicious packages. If someone is doing a church inspection, like the person who opens up or the team who canvasses the facility before service, you're looking for everything from suspicious packages. Was that Austin? Can't think of it. It was a place in Texas where there was a bomber there in 2018. Right. About 5 people were injured. He just sent packages, just like this. Packages. What do we do when we see a package? We look at it and say, oh, well, what's this to? Boom. You know what I'm saying? So if we don't recognize it, don't mess with it. Don't mess with it, right? Part of our education is that if we see stuff that looks like it's traveled a lot, all kinds of stamps and whatever, I'm not going to just pick it up and get a close view of it. I'm going to just leave it. Just leave it there. If there's any suspicion, any unsureness about it, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Okay? If I'm maybe not this church, but some churches have like these expansive parking lot areas, right? There's a parking lot. If I notice that there's some kind of friction going on in the parking lot, like a couple arguing about it, I don't know, they could be arguing about having marital problems or child custody issues, whatever, But I know it's an argument going on out there. Somebody is going to be heated coming in the church. Well, if I'm a greeter, that information might be conveyed to me. Well, it's a young person, they seem a little distraught. So I might try to intercede, try to talk to them, whatever, because whoever's on the other end of that might figure like, hey, this is a good time to get some retribution. She's sitting in church, or he's sitting in church. I'm coming in. Most times, now there are some times when shooters know specifically who they're targeting and they just want that person. Majority of the times, they just come in and they're just getting randomly whoever else is there, which is bad for us, right? So you're going to be observing stuff like that. If there's any type of personal conflict that is going on that is getting ready to come inside of the church. Normally, we wouldn't think about stuff like this, but we have to think in terms of total safety. Okay, so access. We kind of mentioned this before. Access. You have to determine the main ways into the building, all right? And then determine those areas that you might, either if you have video cameras set up there, or if it's unmanned, how are you going to block those entrances? How are you going to do that? Something that you're going to also plan in your emergency action plan, how you're going to do that. Because you have to minimize the number of ways to get into the building. Right? Most people are either going to come off the main street. I came in through that side door there. Right? All these other back doors and whatever, unless you got like child care classes or whatever, you don't need to use those. So you need to minimize the number of entry points in, right? Or either have someone monitoring cameras that that are facing. So, alert. Now, when you do your emergency action team plan, you have to do that in consultation with MPD, fire, and EMS. It's not something that you just sit down and you develop on your own. You have to do it in consultation with them because they're going to have to come out here. They want to look at the facility, see where people are, know where your safe areas might be, access points, all that stuff. That's it's very important that you include these entities into your planning strategy. All right? And determine if you want a church tactical team. Some churches have that. Some churches have off-duty police officers, retired military people. You know, I'm going to show you some examples of that. But some churches have their own tactical team, right? And some churches hire their own security teams so the members don't have to worry about it. Right? You just have to figure out what works best for you. 50% of the churches, 50% don't have any type of security. Today, you have to have some type of security. It could be minimal. It doesn't have to be something that's really, really extensive, but you have to have some type of security. All right, so before we get to the next part, I want to show you, I think Willie asked me, he was telling me about how the ushers were scheduled. I think, didn't you say like it's, what, the third Sunday? There were only females as part of the ushers, right? So, and he asked, should there be someone that was male scheduled, you know, during those times? And I told him that, well, yeah, you could think in terms of that, but there are, people are doing things, male, female, doesn't make a difference. They're learning those strategies and they're using those strategies. I told him that I had a video that I wanted him to take a look at. I want you to see. We can't, sometimes there may not be a male that's available. You want to have ladies. I have full confidence that ladies can do the same things that we can do. I'm going to back up a little bit. So this is a company that teaches these takedown techniques.
So you have a tactical advantage versus a shooter coming to that door. So when he comes to that door, he's not going to go home. This, we're going to use two examples. One is on this door that has one side on it, and then two is that door that has two sides. Okay. So safety says anybody who doesn't have a role, get out of the zone, get out of the kill zone. Far corner against the same one that comes through, or that far corner, definitely not in front of it. But there's going to be a few of you that are going to be required to do one very important thing that's going to assure the success of those by the door. That's attracting his vision and attention on them.
Okay, stop right here. So one of the questions was that, does it make sense to throw books that you might have, could be a hymnal, could be whatever, at the shooter? I told him, I said, well, the book isn't going to save you, but what it does is distracts. It distracts him. So wherever the direction that book is coming from, he's turning toward that way. So you have to have some other plan. You don't want him to just turn on you, right? Well, I'm throwing the book. Oh, all I got is a book. But if I have we have a team strategy where the book is averting his attention, but the other team is coming in to take him down, that might work. Remember, these individuals look for opportunities of least resistance. In other words, when they come on the scene, everybody's running away, hiding, running away. They're not looking for someone to confront them or someone to come from behind or back or what. They're not looking for that. They're not looking to come into a place with locked doors and yank on the door and kick the door. They're not looking for that. No. Too many other targets. I check the door. The door is locked. I'm going to the next thing. Right, so you're throwing a book works, but it works in terms of turning his attention toward you. And if there's no other thing going on, right, that's pretty tough. You're just hanging out there. Right. So this right here, he talks about how some people are going to be used to distract.
Running across the room in the opposite direction if you can help it. From where the hackers, defenders are. So if I'm coming here, you don't want me as a shooter trying to look here. What you gonna do? You're gonna go like that. Walking, running this way. I'm coming this way. Bang! That's it. How much time do I have, honestly, when I come to that door? That's it. Talking, time has now shrunk significantly for the shooter to be able to be shooting effective. So just practice with me one time the drill. Here, no, come here. 1, 2, right there. Good, good. What will help you a lot is actually push the knee here. Yeah, that will collapse a lot easier than my entire body. So just aim for the knee. Yeah, try one time. Yeah, oh yeah. Nice job, nice job. That's fine in the corridor. That's fine in the corridor. Nice thing. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if the distraction is coupled with some other movement, it works. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. You've got to be willing. Something like this takes trust. It takes having an investment with each other. In other words, wouldn't do this with a population of folk that you might question, might not have my back. You know what I'm saying? But I would do this with a population of people that I've been training with, that I know, that, we trust. There's some investment. Yes. Yes. Suppose, just suppose, that in South Carolina, there was this type of training, right? Doesn't have to be anything that is real sophisticated, but just suppose they had this training.
It is heartbreaking videotape. That shocked the world. One by one, they arrive at Emmanuel A&E preparing for Bible study class. A little girl go inside. Couldn't know that just 30 minutes later, a rampage would erupt. They hug in the parking lot. They embrace at the door. One woman shows off a poster board to another parishioner. This, you see a black car pulling into a parking space. The killer, Dylan Root, getting out of the car, walks to the front door. He adjusts his sweatshirt. His gun is believed hidden under.
Okay. So now, this church had a surveillance camera. You can see it was right over the door. The door was not locked. The door was locked. You either had to have someone to come open the door for you, or you had to know some code to get in. So they had a safety protocol in place. Someone came and opened the door for them. Here's another case. You're being very, this is the concept, right? Regardless of who you are, you're welcome to come in, participate, come in and worship, right? So this young man was allowed to come in, even though he was not a member, hadn't been there, he was a stranger. If there was a safety protocol that was not variated, that was like they really had all of the elements that was needed, the young man would have been detained right there. Someone would have come out to greet him, talk to him, try to get a sense of, where he was, right? But you have to look at it and think about, okay, so what do we really need? Now, this is a community that had not experienced this, so they didn't think that they needed anything like that. Most don't, right? We now know that we need to have other pieces, because once he gets in, even if he's discovered, just momentarily, damage can be done, all right? Sure.
So the reality of being a downtown church with a park nearby or two parks nearby where we have unhoused people sleeping and so forth, we get those visitors, not just on Sunday, but during the week, buzzing, sometimes wanting to come in, get out of the cold, sometimes, wanting food assistance or money or whatever. And then the other thing is we are right here right across the street, diagonal is a hostel. And so we get people coming from that hostel from time to time, also looking for assistance. And so
Okay, so
we get strangers regularly.
you're going to need people. All right, so most times, most of your auxiliary groups, most of your protection is on Sunday. It's on Sunday. That's when you have the majority of your people. You got to have people, somebody's got to be deployed. This happened during Bible study, during the weekday. So if your building is being used for anything other than your main service on Sunday, you got to have somebody. Understand what you're saying, because you're going to have, it's a tough time as one now. People are in need. People don't have jobs now. The government is still shut down. So you're going to have people coming. You got to have some type of deployment here. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of people. Could be Willie and and some other people. I don't put you on the spot, but I'm just saying it needs to be someone here to address that, not just you, or not just some individual representing the school. You got to have some type of safety protocol in place, right? And I think that limits some of the threat that would happen. But if you got cameras, use them. Have somebody monitoring those cameras, and that person should have the ability to notify people. MPD if you have to. People roaming the building, roving, whatever. You got to be able to. Communication is huge. It's huge. Communication is huge because communication can limit the number of people that you need. You got to be able to contact and communicate with each other at various points throughout the facility. This is a big church, right? So if Willie is way down here someplace and I view something on the camera, I want to be able to contact him and say, hey, look, somebody entering through that back door. Okay? All right, but this right here, I'm just going to show you a little bit more. I want you to see this.
Correspondent Mark had apparently had a heart attack. I don't know how well she's doing, but like a lot of people, strong emotional, and in her case, physical reaction. This Snapchat video was also played in court, showing the parishioners inside the church. There's Ruth, just sitting there, waiting to open fire. And look at this. Ruth leaving the church, a .45 caliber gun in his hand. Gets in his car and pulls away.
So all of this was on the surveillance camera. Everything. From the time he entered to the time he left. The cameras are no good if there's no one monitoring. He sat at the table doing Bible study, and when he felt like it, he took his gun out and he killed 9 people. Now, let me say this. You can't prevent 100% of this. Some people are just going to do things anyway. But you can prevent a lot of it. You have your protocol in place and you stick to it, right? You go to any federal building after the shutdown is over. You go to any federal building, whether you even work there or not, you got to go through the same protocol. You're going to be scanned, bags, everything. Where it's got to be. Especially during those weekday times when you don't have your full body of people. You got to have somebody there that can maintain. Okay? Any questions? Yeah.
You ran across it earlier, and I kind of missed the message of it. I'm on a pulpit. Normally, I'm sitting beside my pastor, and there are 2. My pastor is a male, and there are 2 female clergy up there also. Mm. If someone was to rush that pulpit, I'm the closest to those steps. I've always had the mentality. I've run it through my mind. I've even shared it with them. I don't know how serious they took me, but that if something like that was to happen, if they were to get through security and it comes to a point where somebody's headed up those steps, don't do it. It's my job to. And I'm wondering if that's I got that mentality from when I was growing up, and I had 2 sisters slightly older than me. I always felt like I was the protector. Right. And I say even to this day, for Christ I live and for Christ I'll die. Not that I'm trying to die like that, just die, but is that the wrong mentality to have, that if it comes to someone rushing that pulpit, that am I putting someone else in danger to rush them?
No. In fact, that's the kind of mentality you have to have. That's your responsibility. If you are security, are you security? Okay, well, all right. So then it's not your role.
I'm not officially security, but I'm the last line of defense if it comes to somebody coming up on that pulpit.
Okay, let me say this, and I kind of alluded to this earlier. In disaster situations, people are going to step. You would step. But preferably, you would have, if you have a security team, you would have someone stationed up, right? So you would not have to, you could be a backup, but that wouldn't be your sole responsibility. Preferably, you would have a security member up here. I don't know if people who came first time, I showed you an example of a church in Nashville, Tennessee. That show, I'm telling you, was the best example. I'll show it again of security you will see. They got people deployed, everywhere. But maybe you look at that and take the points that work for you. But you should have someone situated up here, so you don't have to be the last person to confront, a threat. That's not your job. Yes, ma'am.
So I have 2 questions for you. You said something with the shooting at the South Carolina church. You said that they had, the cameras, they had locked door, and someone from the church let them in.
They did.
And you had said that maybe instead of letting them in, the person should have gone out to meet them. How do you, the church wants to be open, wants to allow whoever come in and pray. How do you prevent somebody, or how do you know? I mean, I don't think you can know when somebody has, evil intent. How
No.
do you prevent? You can't prevent that from happening. And so I'm not sure, as an usher or formal greeter, that I would be able to do anything to, if I see someone who wants to come into the church at the time and wants to pray, we're going to let them in. And so I'm trying to figure out what strategy we would use.
Okay, so we're talking about engagement strategy right here. Okay? Right? So if you have a dialogue already, then you would use that. This is simply a suggestion. Good morning, sir, madam, could be brother, sister. Welcome to the name of the church. Are you visiting or for the first time? Or thank you for visiting this point. Do you have a home church in the area? Or are you visiting from out of town? You're trying to engage them like that, right? Yeah, before they get inside, right? This could be in the lobby. This could be even outside if it's a nice day, And all of this engagement is being monitored on the surveillance camera. So people who is monitoring the camera will say, Sister, what's your name?
Monica.
Sister Monica is out there talking with a person. He's a stranger here. We've never seen him. I don't know if he's suspicious. Please give her some assistance, right? So now, you're only doing that. You're not calling someone, sending someone to handcuff the guy because you don't know. But get some different eyes on him, some more eyes. When this guy got out of the car, you could see he was covering up the weapon that he had, right? So all of this is just to detain the person. You're not immediately allowing him to just walk right in. Okay? So, I mean,
That is a strategy that we would have to develop, because that's not what we allow people.
Yeah. Now, if they're regular members and you know them, But if it's a stranger, you want to know. He may even need to fill out. Hey, why don't you fill out this information card so we can keep in contact with you?
It's down in
Yes,
the-
I was thinking maybe rely on your instincts, and maybe we could think about getting walkie-talkies. If you're in the sanctuary, turn your volume down so you don't hear it. But usually the walkie-talkies you can hear all over, so if I turn it on, the person at the security desk knows what's happening, and you have two code words that are pet code words that only insiders know. One is standby, maybe, and the other one is yes, red alert. That way, they don't know what the code is. So if you feel like it doesn't feel right, a code for that, and that will make you look up.
So when you're developing part of your security plan in your emergency action plan, you're going to develop threat level, right? If this is a person who you suspect who doesn't really fit the profile, we'll back up. But it might be, code green or code yellow, whatever, or code red. You can develop whatever language you want to for your security plan, that everybody who is on that line will be able to know, immediately what you're talking about.
At the office, your package is ready. Your package is here to be picked up. That way, everyone's not alerted.
Right, and see, that is good.
That means something's going on.
That is good. So some organizations do it like that. Why? Because you don't want to tip the person off who you are suspecting that we suspect you, right? Someone comes through the door who's a little suspicious. You don't want to say, hey, there's a suspicious character just walked through the door. You don't want to do that, right? So if you got some...
A code red, because everybody knows that's something serious.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir.
Well, this just leads to the question of my mind.
Okay, very good. So, you mean after we recognize there's a threat?
Yes, okay. Yes, what do you do after that?
Okay, so that's going to depend on how far you're willing You know what? Hold that thought. I want to show you something.
New at 6:30, it was hard to imagine a killer targeting a church. Then Charleston happened. And now, pastors are taking no chances. Tonight in a News Channel 5 exclusive, our Nick Barris goes on an active shooter drill like nothing you've seen before. There's guns, shooting, it all happens inside a church. Here's what to do if a killer comes after a congregation.
This is specialized training.
What do you got here? What do you got? What do you got? What do you see? What do you see?
This is not a SWAT team. These are worshipers with guns inside an actual church, faced with the worst case scenario.
It's an armed aggressor in a church who's already fired shots, has already hurt people. Steve, you're going to button hook right here, come this way, and cross. Oh, we both fired. That was so sorry.
Ken Bradford's job is to save lives. He's an instant.
What do you think about that? Okay, wait, hold on. So my
That's
my
a church that
wait,
has
hold up.
funding.
My reason for being is just to show you just the many ideas that people have out there. This is just one. This is a church that has chosen to arm members. That's not a military group or police. Those are members being trained how to go through and bring down a shooter. I always say this: I am not a proponent of putting guns in the hands of teachers or members, even if they have the license to purchase and carry. Because look at some of the incidents that have happened. Police officers who are trained get shot when they come on those scenes. Some of them, not all of them. Those are high threat situations. A regular person, even though you have the ability to purchase and carry a gun, you haven't been trained in those high threat situations. You are going to freeze, or you're going to do something that's going to endanger the lives of other innocent people. So, some people will hire, like I said previously, often the police officers, blah, 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 to be a part of the team. Or you can do that. But go
Do you
ahead.
have information about, like, typically what churches, what the budget is for a security team? Do you have any idea of how much that runs? What church, like a church like our church here at Asbury, what would be, I think what you're suggesting is there may be security to be here, particularly maybe on the days where, not Sunday, but on Monday through Friday, to make sure there's people here who, if something happens, there is some security. Are you suggesting other things? I'm just curious.
Okay, all right. So let me answer all those questions with one answer. No. I don't know what they charge. I don't know what off-duty police officers would charge. That's an arrangement you guys would make. And you have to determine what you need. You may not need a whole force of people. You may not, just a couple of folks. Or you may feel like, well, we don't want to have that at all, which means that you got to have some organization of your members, right? So with your greeters, with your ushers, those members, you might need some additional volunteers to help beef up during times, doing high stress time, right? So, but no, I don't know anything about the arrangements that they make. Yes. Hold on. Bring your lug wrench in.
Bring your lug wrench in.
I've watched that video twice now with Dylan Roof putting his gun in his sweater, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking about if there was even a greeter at the door, like greeters, if you didn't happen to see that and there wasn't a camera to show that, I wouldn't know
You
had a
wouldn't.
gun.
You wouldn't.
And I'm back to Reverend Mills' question. It's really important for us here. I think there's a question of the difference between somebody who's different and somebody who's suspicious.
Mhm.
How do we know when somebody walks in and we need to be? Are there some signals or something?
Okay.
And it sounds like you're also saying, I guess, that in this line of questioning, are you visiting today? What church are you a member of? It seems like a delaying tactic.
It
but
is.
depending on the person, they may just answer those questions and then come in and still do something. So I guess I'm still wondering if there's any way, maybe there isn't, to differentiate between when we move from just being welcoming to
Being tactical. Yes. So, yes, it is a delaying tactic. It's to allow other members on your safety team to get down to the scene. Now, if there's nothing in it, if there's nothing obvious, we're going to backtrack to this here. But if there, let me answer her first. But if there's nothing obvious, dress, appearance, the way he's talking, most times you're just going to allow him to come right in, right? But again, remember I said there's no way to protect yourself from things 100%. But if there are some obvious signs, if he's angry, if he's really really spouting some type of language, we know he shouldn't be inside of the church. We're going to keep him out there, right? That's what your security team is there for. We're going to keep him out there until MPD gets on the scene. Oh, you might just need a police officer deployed in the area. Maybe not on the inside proper, but just a car out here. So that if we need you, you can come in, right?
Yeah. My question is, we know we need a plan. Does your office have sources that you can recommend to us to help us develop this plan?
Well, I think the last time when I met you all, we talked about your emergency action plan. Yeah, we can assist you doing that. You have to develop the information. I mean, I can give you a template if you want. I can contact MPD, Fire EMS if you want. But the contents of it, you have to put together.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, can you identify potential areas? In some cases, you said some things about who needs to. What are some of the situations that we could anticipate encountering, and how we can develop some strategies for how to deal with it?
Okay, all right. Why don't we do this? Let me have. I need about 4 volunteers. All right. Okay. So this is going to be my security team. Okay. Hold on just a second. I want you to vary from this right here just 1 second. And we're going to jump here. And I want you to see something that I don't want to happen.
Of course, the security alerts we've been talking about bring to mind that deadly shooting last June inside an historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina. 9 people, including the pastor, were shot to death during a Bible study session after inviting a young stranger, Dylan Roof, to join them in prayer. It was a tragedy that put churches across the nation on edge. What we're about to show you is a simulation, but it will feel very real, and it's got a real lesson that could save lives. Shots inside the sanctuary.
Okay, so this is a mass exit right here. A mass exit, right? People trying to get outside. This is difficult to do. It's difficult. Because you may have people who can't move like that, right? Shooter comes in from the back, right? You're going to be trying to scurry out these doors, those that can't. Some people are going to be trying to hunker down in place. Shooter's going to come in shooting. He's going to see people who are right in front of him. This is the danger area right here. I can see you real good. I'm not going to just stand here. I'm either going to move this way or I'm going to move that way. Certainly, as I move, my vantage point changes. It gives me more access to other people. But as soon as I walk in here, I'm walking in shooting, people on the very ends, boom, you can hit it. You can get out, right? Because these are the opportunities. Remember we talked about opportunities last time. First opportunity is what? To run. To run if you can. Run. Second opportunity is to what? If you've already spied someplace you can hide, you're going to get there. You might want to go under that pew or whatever. Now, depending on his vantage point, he can see you go down there, or he can see you sitting down, right? And the last one is what? Make it hard for him. Make it hard. Yeah. Okay, all right, so this is my security team. Since we know that a mass exit is going to be difficult, let's say we got people here, the person sitting over here with a wheelchair. So Willie is identified as a person who's going to make sure that victim, well not victim, but that person gets to safety, right? So he ain't thinking, he's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about my job is to get this person to safety, right? Brother Wallace is situated on stage where you would be, right? Brother Wallace is going to make sure everybody up here gets safe. He knows where to go. Maybe there's a door back there. Well, maybe. How many people can get in that closet? Whatever. It's Brother Wallace's job to make sure that happens. Now there's some children here, or people who might be on canes. What's your name? Sister Nina is going to make sure that those folks get to safety, right? Now those of you who are able-bodied and can move on your own, of course, you're going to be making it, and take people with you if you can. But there are going to be people who are specifically identified to make sure that people get to safety, right? Adele. Sister Dell is going to be part of our tactical team, right? So, if there is an opportunity, you're going to make sure that he does not go first. All right, so sit back in your place. All right, so this is the way it should look. It should look. All right? Let's say a shooter comes in. Shooter comes in, right? You're going to immediately know because you've gone through what we talked about. Remember we talked about those three responses, right? First is what? Not those. The three responses, like when we hear something, right? I'll say, when we hear at Asbury, is that gun, huh? 911? Okay, well, hold on. I want to make sure we're on the same. Listen, we're here at Asbury. It's safe here. I know everybody. I'm not worried about. Wait a minute. Is that gunfire? Oh no, it can't be gunfire. I know it. Well, what is that gunfire? I heard it again. No, I'm just going to go and work. Whoa, I just go to safe space just to make sure. If it's not gunfire, then I'm okay. But look how much time has expired since I heard it and I got to decisive action. Remember we talked about those. Decisive action is the thing that's going to protect you. Once you make the identification, go. Whether it's real or not, go. If you know where a safe space is, go there. Don't sit here deliberating on what is going on because you're going to freeze. Freeze is not a good thing, powerful thing. You got to get to decisive action. So that's what I'm saying, right? Once you hear it, go. So this is like this, all right? The scenario is this. Person comes through here, tried to detain him at the door with the greeter. He got pushed past the greeter. Came in, and in the lobby area, we could hear gunfire. Once we heard gunfire, we immediately go into action. So the tactical team, you would be a team who would be, you wouldn't just automatically run at the person, right? Because when you, what happens, right? In the Sandy Hook shooting, 21st grade children were killed. 6 adults. They were trying to shield the people. Parkland shooting. Coach was killed. He was trying to shield the people. So you can't go right at him like that. You only react if there is an opportunity. There's an opportunity. You've been trained. It's like the ladies, you know how to take the gun, take them down, boom, boom, boom. But you only do that if the opportunity is there. Otherwise, you're trying to make yourself safe. Okay? All right, so we hear the gunfire and we go into action. All you have to do is move in those places. Ready? Have you heard gun? No, wait. Willie, have a seat. Wait, hold up. Okay, ready? Okay. You know what? That was good. You know why? Because you froze. The sound makes you free. We have to educate ourselves to move. That sound is something we're not used to. It makes us free. It makes us free. Right? Understand when the sound starts, that's when you have to, boom, jump into action. Right? And the only way you get there is to practice it. That's the only way. How many of you go to the gun range? Right. You go to the gun range, you have your weapon, your ammo, they give you stuff to put on your ears because it's loud. It does. It happens with everybody. I don't care how experienced you are, how much training you have, it happens to everyone. So don't feel bad about that. The thing is, once you recognize it, you got to get to decisive action. Get low, get to your points where people expect you, and you react.
Yes.
So yes, it's going to happen.
Yes, so if you have not been to a gun range, you don't have to shoot the gun. Just go in there and listen, and you will feel it, so you'll know what it feels like. Because it's like, oh, it just goes through your body and rivet. So you just naturally go into shock. You're like, so that will kind of take down that, desensitize you just an inch. It still will be loud and piercing. Very.
So for those of you who did not know what I was talking about, this, oh, that's not it. Sorry. There was a, so this is what I mean when I talk about the types of responses. I'm going to move this forward a little bit. And, this might be important to you. This is a review here. This is what we talked about, the number of incidents that have occurred. Since 2000, we had one last year, 2017. We were 30. We were over 30 in 2018. We've already started now. What this indicates is the number of incidents, not the number of individuals. Because each incident has 4 or more people in it. Right? Las Vegas shooting had 58 people in it. Pulse nightclub shooting had 49 people. So understand this 30 simply indicates the number of incidents, not the number of people. All right? So, and this is where they occur most on the job. Review as well. On the job is where it happens the majority of the time. How's the faith still down here? Ooh, right? But this is, excuse me for going fast, but we've gone through this at one time. These are the responses. Remember? Denial. It can't happen here at Asbury. It's too safe here. It's not going to happen here, right? But was that really a gunshot? I think I need to get somewhere safe. You can't linger up here, because if you linger up here, freeze, and freeze is what causes victory. So now, once you understand this, those opportunities, run, hide, fight, that's when you use it. Okay? Got it? All right, so let's go backtrack. Now, so how do we know that a person could potentially be a threat? We're going to look for these different emotions, right? Extreme rage, anger. Could have had, like I said previously, could have been an argument in the parking lot, bring it into the church. Angry about something at home, I come into the church, right? Or, could be somebody who's just euphoric, just laughing, just carrying on. You're trying to talk to him, he's just laughing. You don't know if he's on something, just whatever, right? Fidgety, curious, just thinking, trying to hide something, right? These are just examples. Now, there are many more types of emotions, but these are things that's going to cue my curiosity to what might be involved with this person. So if I'm a greeter, this is what I'm looking for. If I'm a person who, if I'm a frontline individual, I'm looking for different kinds of emotions when people come to church, right? Now, not to say, hey, I'm going to suspect everybody that comes through here sad. No, they could just experience, a death in their family, whatever. But I'm going to look at them kind of critically. If they dress inappropriately coming to church, I'm going to be a little bit suspicious about that. In the Batman shooting in Aurora, Colorado, man came into the theater wearing fatigues and carrying duffel bags coming to a premiere. That's a little bit suspicious. A little bit suspicious. Took him in there, took his guns out, and he killed. I think he killed 12 people, right? So what I'm saying, dress. Now, you got people who will come dressed, appropriate to their means, right? They may not be able to come in a suit and tie or a nice dress, but that shouldn't restrict them from coming to, worship. But at the same time, if it's way suspicious, like if it's 90 degrees outside, he walks in with a big overcoat hanging to the floor, I'm going to be a little bit suspicious. I am. I don't want him to get in here and pull out a rifle. You're a little suspicious. So what happens when I'm suspicious? I'm going to, how you doing this morning? I'm going to talk to him. Hey, you want to fill out our information card? We'd like blah, blah, blah. So my team members can come down here and look at him too. Because we're not letting him go in just straight off the cuff like that. All right? like you were saying that there are people, some homeless people might come in, right? Doesn't mean that they're evil. They just need help, right? So you're going to be able to discern that. Yes.
On the fourth Sunday, we feed the homeless and then we give toiletries. And I have one particular situation, a real live situation, that there's this one gentleman that comes regularly every fourth Sunday, and he does exhibit some pretty bizarre behavior sometimes, like he may be bipolar. Sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down. So he gives me a random name. I take their names. I write the names down. And so he'll tell me his name is John Doe. And so I tell him I need his real name. And so I think 3 months ago, he told me his name was Communist Illegal. And so I said, next month, guess what? We're going to start asking for ID. And he looked at me really, really strange, and he said, and guess what? I'm going to take that Communist Illegal ID and shove it up your ass. And he went on through the line and got his things. And I did not bring it to anybody's attention, but it's been on my mind because he comes. And last month when he came, he was very pleasant to my daughter, but he didn't really say anything to me. I was at a different point in the room. And so he sort of bypassed me. So in a situation like that, I mean, do we bar him from coming in or?
Okay, so you got a couple of things going. First of all, you should not be the only one who is interacting with this individual. Are you the only person?
Volunteers, including a security guard who's at the door who gives them a bag before they enter.
So you got one guard.
One guard, one unarmed guard, who's I doubt that he could chase a child.
Okay, so let me say this. We do a lot of work with volunteers, and we do a lot of work with homeless people, and we work with Mission. We work with a lot of folks. So you're going to have people with behavioral health issues coming through. You are not appropriately staffed to deal with something like that. I can just tell you that right up. Just from what you told me, having a guard at the front entrance who is dealing with people entering, and no one else back here with you who are dealing face-to-face with folk, that's a mistake.
Well, we do have someone else in the room is armed, but he's not a security. I just
Well, that's a good thing to know.
So I sort of feel some degree of protection.
Well, okay, well then that's all right. Then that's good. Well, see, he needs to know what you're dealing with. You shouldn't say that you haven't told him this. How are they going to be alert to something jumping off? They need to know who the person is. Now, if you want to bar him, then that's one thing. But if you say, hey, I'm going to serve everybody, I don't care who it is, if you allow him to come in, you understand that there's some behavioral issues, then everybody else should be aware of what is going on. That takes the responsibility off you for addressing it. And the guard that's in the room needs to know so he can keep eyes on him when he's in there. Because if he starts to behave differently, he wants to be able to move on. So let people know, first off, what's going on. And you can establish some protocol. You might need to have a protocol for people who are coming in. You got to have this type of behavior when you come in here. Otherwise, we're not going to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do.
Thank you.
Would it be a good idea to have someone who's not security, but just someone that feels like they can handle a situation if it arises? That's just kind of nearby, not even saying anything, just like an undercover person that's paying close attention to the situation.
Yeah, that's good. But they still got to know who the individual is.
Absolutely.
But you got, I think, from just a basic fundamental standpoint, you should have some rules and guidelines that people have to follow when they're coming in for the, it's not that, you don't have to show, like you were saying that you're going to have to show an ID, right? Well, but there should be some behavior rules there too, right? We're going to serve you. We're going to give you everything that we think that that you need, but you're not going to be disrespectful to the people in here. You're not cussing out people. You're not doing all that stuff. When that happens, then your undercover or your other people got to step in. Control. No other questions? All right, let's move on. All right, so you scan for unusual appearance. Understanding people might come dressed kind of crazy. I didn't want to say that word. I'm sorry. Scratch out crazy. They might come in dressed a little. Okay? All right, so scanning for unusual behavior. This is, say if you got a parking lot, you got a camera out there, you see somebody going from car to car, looking under cars, bringing in bags, all that kind of stuff, might be seen to be under the influence of something, drugs, whatever, a little high coming in, or a person might leave the congregation and then go to the bathroom. That's okay. But they go to the bathroom for hours. You might have somebody, security, in the hallway just kind of monitoring to see what's going on. You don't have to go in the bathroom, but be out there just in case the person is going other places than just going into the bathroom. Okay, you okay? So we talked about you should have established some type of threat level understanding so that everybody will know who's on your communication lines, what it means. Code green, right? Code red, whatever. You don't have to exactly say, hey, there's a person dressed this way. Code whatever at the front door. Code whatever in the basement. Code whatever in the hallway, east side. That's the way you communicate, right? And this is what the codes would mean. Now, this is all done when you are developing your emergency action plan. Okay? All right, so before we go any further, I want you to see this.
Brown Missionary Baptist Church sits a few miles south of Memphis, Tennessee. Founded in 1882 by former slaves, this African-American church now welcomes almost 5,000 churchgoers each Sunday. Keeping that many people safe requires an organized, engaged group of security professionals. Dan Eason serves on the emergency response team. He's also a senior law enforcement officer.
Yeah, 3:30. So during the weekend, we have a Saturday night service also. So during that weekend, we can have up to about 4,500 members. PRC consists of about over 57 members. That's including our medical, but about over 40 of them are half of those are law enforcement. I want to say law enforcement personnel, either retired or active, military, licensed. Was our medical staff. Also have to be a doctor or that's our leaders here, so they know if they see anything, they'll switch over to us and let us know.
Okay, so the greeters have communication devices on them. They can switch channels, right? You can't see them, just right here. So they are at the door as people are coming in. They're greeting people. If they see anything strange, they can report what they see quickly.
They on a different channel than we are. So
Right there. Tammy McGill has served as the church's dispatcher for 3 years.
Okay, so you can see there's someone manning the cameras all the time. She's looking at every area in the church, including outside. She can relay information immediately to the individuals who are either patrolling or need to move in that area.
I serve as dispatcher, the eyes and the ears for our ERT team and the medical team. We serve as a liaison between them and the actions that are going on. We just try to have eyes in every area within the church, and we actually use the TV action to see where they are in service. So if there's anything that occurs, we just contact ERT. Mainly the rovers who we have that are doing like security sweeps of the different areas. To make sure nothing, is going on. To make sure all the doors are secure. And just make sure like teenagers are not, in their proper places as well.
This is our sanctuary. This is the stage, and we got 4 sections. So we do like A, B, C, D. We try to keep the nurses. If there's 2 of them working, they'll do a B and D section, or either if it's 3 of them, most of them do A, C, and D, like that. And for the security, we have 1 guy on stage.
Okay, so in this case, they have, and I've seen at some other churches, the security individual say, the main area is here. He's either off to the side somewhere, very kind of inconspicuous, right? His job is to answer any potential threat that might be moving toward, the pulpit. So people up on stage who are kind of, able-bodied, you can assist, but that's not your main focus, is to make sure that folks are safe. You're going to have security either off to the side, that side, whatever your, you think that your needs are.
We try to make sure it's 1 up front.
Let me add, because if your security is seated out here and the threat gets inside, they got to get up here to save. No, they should already be positioned.
Way in the back here, at the main door entrance, we always say you put 1 up front on this side here too, just in case somebody coming in from that door there, and then we have them spread out through the church. And like I said, we just blend in as far as the members.
I can see the parking lot. If I see someone that's going from car to car, I know to contact our ERT as well as our parking lot manager. Make sure, that person's going to the right vehicle.
We have a 2 to 3-year-old class, 4-year.
Okay, I think you get the idea. They have eyes at every point in the church. Now, as you might imagine, having a system like that in place could be very costly. Could be, personnel-wise, equipment. But you may not need that. You want to take out pieces that you think you can afford or you need. Certainly, if you have surveillance cameras, you got to have somebody monitor, because otherwise, they're no use. All right, let's go on. To me, that church, I think, is the best example that I've seen of church. Now, of a church security plan. Now, as you saw, they did not. There may have been some members who were involved in the team, or those guys might have all been just, extra people hired. We don't know. They didn't mention that piece. But the first example that we saw of the church members running all through the church shooting guns and that kind of thing, when you compare it to this one, it's totally opposite. It's totally opposite. So what you have to do is look at the extremes and see what works for you. You might have, I think you said something about having people as members, whatever, police officers, whatever, whatever. I mean, I've seen churches. A friend of mine who's a special police attends a church, and he has put together a security team of retired policemen and all this, and they come to service with weapons in case they need it. Right. So you have to determine what works for you, right? But really, you got to have specifics in your emergency action plan, just like we kind of practice here. So when it kicks off, people know exactly what they're doing. All right, so where are we now? So this is your training model. This is what you should have. You should have surveillance cameras, right? Communication devices. Even if you got two people, they need to be able to talk to each other. You got to be able to talk to each other. So these are things that should be included. You should have an evacuation plan that is well rehearsed. That means, I don't know, you might have a special meeting where you get people in here and you let them know the places, the safe places that they're going to go to if a threat occurs. If it comes from that way, this way, that way, the direction that you're going to move in. Who's identified to take care of different populations, right? And if you have some people who are trained to stabilize the situation, they're going to go into action. People are going to know, people might not know who they are, but they will know. Your team. Your team. Okay. Efforts to fight back. What does that look like? Okay, so, all right. Here's a scenario. You tell me what's missing. Tell me if your church, regardless of what church it is ready to handle something like that. All right, say, during morning Sunday service, a man was observed taking a large duffel bag out of his car. Though it didn't seem strange, it was not unusual for someone to carry large items into the church during service. Today was a little bit different because he very calmly walked over to the door, didn't engage with anyone, opened up his bag, pulled out an assault rifle, and then suddenly screams and gunfire began to happen. Echoed throughout the courtyard, in the lobby, and in seconds he was in to the main proper area, right? Security was rushing toward him, but it was too late. He had shot most of the people waiting to enter from the lobby and was now in the main sanctuary. In the hysteria, some people were trampled trying to get to safety. People in wheelchairs were left vulnerable. Some seniors were knocked to the floor because they couldn't move fast enough. Several young children were exposed with no cover. This day, nearly 100 people were killed and twice as many were wounded. The assault went on for nearly 15 minutes until the emergency response team arrived on the scene. Now, what we talked about, how do you think this could have been avoided? What could have been different? They needed a plan. What else? Okay, if you had a surveillance camera, you would have known he was coming in with bags, but you had to have someone watching it. What? Some effort to detain at the door. So now let me ask this next question. Is your church prepared to do something? Remember when I said 50% of the churches in this country have no safety. No safety. So if your answer was no to like at least one of those things, you need to get to work. Get to work. That's all. I mean, you know, it's very simple. If you were at the first training, it's very simple, right? Question is this. Like the Waffle House guy. Do I make it more difficult for individuals to come in and cause me harm, or do I wait for my turn because I know it's coming? See, were you at the first training? Okay, you remember when Christina Anderson, she was a Virginia Tech survivor. She was shot 3 times on the scene. What did she say? She said she put her head down, put her knees on the floor, and said, I braced myself because I knew my turn. She had seen him shoot people because he didn't start with her. He started on the other side of the classroom, shooting 2 guns, killed people leading up to her. She said, I braced myself because I knew my turn was coming, which means she'd given up. She'd given up. Right? So the question is, do we make it difficult or do we brace ourselves because we know our turn is coming? We make it difficult. We make it difficult. Make it difficult as best as we can. Right? So your plan might, when you're putting your pieces together, you're going to take your groups that already exist, and we're going to tactically train them. That could be in terms of how to greet them. That could be in terms of how to take people down if you get the opportunity. It could be in terms of arming folk that you have here that's already armed. You have to determine that. What you want it to look like. Once you do that and have it in place and everybody is aware of it, that's a good step toward making that safe.
Should we have 911 lockdown drills?
You should have your emergency drills, right? Now, included in there may be lockdown, right? Because everybody is not going to be able to get out. He comes in, you're not going to get, But if there are safe places that we're taking, that we know we're taking people to, then that might be your drill. Let's get people to our safe places, right? Let's get people to, if he comes through here, let's get people to exit this way or, safe way. So, yeah, that's going to be part of it. So I don't know if you want to call it 911 lockdown. You could. I mean, hey, you can call it whatever. You can call it whatever, but you need to practice it.
I mean, with everyone or just because you're like, what? But I mean, we're right here in the heart of the city. There, like today, there's a march.
There's a
we
march
have
going on.
All the marches, and we have lots of visitors and tourists in the area. We're right here in the middle of it.
Okay, so you're not going to be, most churches are going to have like visitors all the time. So they're not going to be aware of your codes. They're not going to be aware of all of that. But your members should be aware of what's going on. How you do that is...
Like we have lockdown drills at school, and things come up that you would never imagine. And 5-year-olds, kindergarten, and they know, well, what if there's a fire and a 911 at the same time? I said, great question. Because some people set off a fire alarm just to get you off aware,
That's true.
Divert your attention to the fire drill bell
To try to get you
when
to
there's
come
really
out.
a 911.
Yeah.
Someone's
true.
trying to get in the building. So
That's
they
true.
set off the fire alarm to throw you off.
All right, so I don't know if this answered if that was a question.
Yeah,
But
well,
if it was,
I was saying with the lockdown drills, every time we have a drill, when you learn, when you do it, you learn things like.
So when you do lockdown, and you hear fire alarm bells, you hear any other bells, you don't move. You stay in lockdown. Lockdown supersedes everything. Because as you say, the fire alarm could be to draw people out in the open.
So if with the lockdown down, what happens is, let's say there's someone shooting downstairs. You want to lock so no one can get in the main sanctuary. Is there a way to lock these doors and get people to go down and stay quiet, turn off the lights, cover the doors so it looks like no one's here? That's what we do as a lockdown drill, to pretend that that room is empty.
Okay. But yeah.
We have a plan. We have to develop a plan. That's it.
Willie. We're running a little bit over. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
a lot of this conversation is premised on people coming here who are not regular attendees, who are not members, who are not known to us. But didn't you just show us a chart that said the overwhelming majority of these kinds of circumstances are workplace situations? And my understanding of following the news is that the overwhelming majority of those circumstances are from people who are not total strangers to someone who is at that workplace.
Very good. Yes. 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 Which brings brings back one thing is that if you have a safety protocol in place, you can't vary it even if you work. Remember, you go to any federal buildings beyond the lockdown, you gotta whatever. But there are also, remember when we talked about in the first presentation, pre-attack indicators. Most times when people commit these situations, they're not just waking up and say, you know what, I'm going to take a gun to work and kill. Something been going on for a long time, right? Could be days, months, weeks, years. Pre-attack indicators that sometimes because we're involved in work and raising kids and stuff like that, we miss them. We miss them. So we're saying that no, we're going to be a little bit more cognizant now of the people that are around us when we work there, right? If we see a person under distress or going through some type of psychological trauma, we got to get help to them. Or at the very least, let everybody know what's going on. Well, not everybody, but the people that are in charge. Because they don't just, after they get to a certain point, then they say, okay, but that's not suddenly. It's not like it's a random kind of thing. They've gone through a process. So pre-attack indicators are important to recognize. I'm not going back all the way through it because, we're after 11, but yes.
Can I ask whether there's anything you say about the visual indicators that may be off-putting? Oh, I'm sorry.
Off-putting.
Oh, to someone. So I was thinking about those ear things in your ears. You think, okay, they've got some security. Okay, that could be expensive. Having the word security, or even having a police car outside a church. Are those things? Are there some things that we could do that might be visually more protective than what we're doing now?
Okay, so if you notice, remember from the Brown Missionary Baptist Church when he talked, he said we try to deploy our security people so they're kind of very inconspicuous. I mean, they kind of blend into the service. Unless you were looking for an earpiece or some person that might have a bulge someplace, you might think that it's just regularly a regular member. So yeah, there are some things that you can do to situate or stage people so they're not, just obvious, right? A police car outside may be obvious, but at the same time, having a police car outside may discourage someone from coming in who might have some, dangerous things going through. Yeah. So I mean, you have to determine what's most comfortable for you. But you can look at all those things and use there's different connotations to it, right? So yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. I know that at this point, our folks, Asbury people, have been asking a lot of questions, and as Willie has asked us some questions, everyone has said, well, we don't have anything, we don't have anything. what I want you to know is that the trustees did begin some assessment process. Actually, it's been over a year now because Willie was part of that along with Darrell, this Willie, along with Darrell Wiles. And we have had MPD come out and do a security assessment. And for, as a result of the training we did in December, our lay leaders, Darrell Wiles and Sandy Adams, have volunteered themselves to take on for this year getting a security plan, process, all of this in place for Asbury. And so I'm sure they would welcome having members on their team. I don't think they've started to recruit yet, and I'd like for Darrell to maybe speak a little.
Good morning. I don't have too many comments, but those of you that want to share concerns, please see me after our presentation today. I would love to get that feedback right now. But the efforts that Reverend Mills referenced, we had a Safe Church Task Force that came together a couple of years ago. That was out of the trustee board. And we do have the framework for our emergency action plan at MPD come out. Some of the recommendations Willie made today, we're going to go ahead and accelerate our efforts to bring fire and MPD back out again to look at those plans again. But we certainly need your feedback. So again, please see me afterwards if you would like to share your feedback with a lot of the things that you're mentioning. We have in place. There are a few things that we fall short on right now that we have to assess and make some decisions. So again, I encourage you after today, if you have feedback to share, see me so I can take that feedback, and then as we look to reform that task force, we can take that feedback, consider it for the plan, and we'll figure out a way to communicate it to everyone. But Sandy and I, we were moved from the first meeting we had here back on December the 1st. Said that that this would be a priority for us. We certainly feel that that's what the direction God is leading us in. And, we're fortunate because Sandy and I were both on that safety task force, so this is something that is a priority for us in 2019.
My second thing was for you, Willie, and that is to ask whether or not we can get these slides, if it's possible, because it was hard to keep up with you and take all these notes.
Certainly. Yeah, get it. So let me have your email, and I will email anyone. If you would like copies of the presentation, I will email it to you. That's it. There are no other questions. Sorry for keeping you almost a half an hour past our schedule point, but you've been a great audience, and I hope you can take some of these suggestions back. Thank you.